if you could look at very important statistics around the first parameter which we are talking about is the water stress. So India is already a water stressed nation where if you see per capita fresh water is close to 1700 meter cube and we are ranking 132nd across the globe. By 2024 and during 1950 to 24, per capita surface water has been declined by 73%. Isn't it eye-opening factor? Without earthen matters, if we take, India would become water scarce, which is, we are on the verge of the same. Major cities like Bengaluru, Mumbai and others are already facing water shortages, and it is because of unplanned urbanization and climate change, of course. Groundwater depletion has already been seen in the northwest India, like Punjab, Haryana and western UP. And trust me, these figures are really, really diluted and the condition is really worst. If we go to next parameter of ours, which is agriculture waste or agriculture around water. So 80% of the usable water in India is being consumed by agriculture. And if you see different figures, rice, sugar, wheat, cotton alone consumes around 60% of India's usable water. Again, a significant number. And we as people are also using the water in our own way. So this has to be a very, very difficult situation if we don't preserve our water going forward. Now looking at a very important aspect, which is waste. India generates 683 million tons of crop waste every year, and plastic waste exceeds 4 million tons per year, and our generation of waste per day is around 1.6 lakh tons. 50% of our collected waste is treated, but around 32% remains untreated. And last but not the least, 0.15 million tons of municipal solid waste remains untreated, and which is around 20% of the same. Isn't it something we should start looking at and to have the discussions around these? Because if we don't start looking at these and taking measures around these, we won't be able to survive, nor our future generation is. For that purpose, we have two distinguished speakers with us. So I would start with, back to my questions. So I would be starting with Mr. Agi, and my question is, with your company, what has been your experience around sustainable sanitization? And how do you see that the companies who are already struggling with population and resource scarcity, how can these things be managed, and what are the innovations around these?
All right, thank you very much for your question. I mean, we have to start with checking why do we flush in the first place. This is the point. But it's not so strange, because doing the wrong thing or practice over a long time become the right thing to do or practice to do. So for us, or for myself, as an inventor and environmentalist, I consider flushing a criminal action, because you are mixing two components that are amazing components, water and waste, and turning them into sludge. And then you have all this kind of contamination that you don't know how to deal with. So you will call it bio whatever, and you put it on the farm. Or you let it go into water resources and pollute the rivers and the water underground. And then you create a bigger problem of something that you could actually deal with separately and get the best of both of them. Water is very scarce, and if you consider the next war, it will not be on oil, it will be on water. And we are seeing that today. Especially also in India, I mean, between two cities, they are fighting about water, right? And then you mix the water with the human waste, and then creating the sludge, and then what to do with the sludge. Instead of getting this sludge, this waste, and turn it into a fertilizer that will, as you said here with the agriculture thing, turn it into fertilizer. So you turn the waste into valuable material with no extra, technology is there. You just need to invest, and the capex maybe is higher in the beginning, but the capex, the OPEX is not there. In the long run, you make money out of your waste. And you save your water that is very scarce and valuable. Now, when it comes to sanitation, we have invented the best toilets that doesn't consume water for any kind of applications, dry toilets. And we have even recently developed a toilet that consumes 0.1 liter for pee and 0.2 liter for poop. That is only to clean the bowl. And that will be collected in the basement. That is for high-rise building, by the way. It's a normal toilet. I don't know if you have seen the videos. You can see it at our store there. But that will be collected in the basement to our also patented waste management, biological waste management system that turns the waste into fertilizer. And believe me or not, you get more water from our system than you put in. You can still use water for hygiene purposes, but you see, pee is mostly what? We can collect that water and make, again, a circular economy to the best of our, so it's standalone, decentralized, off-grid housing is possible with our technologies.
So one follow-up question here. Do you think the kind of technology which is applied or applicable outside India will be and can be applied here also, looking at the infrastructure, the mindset, the availability of the trainings and stuff like that?
Good question. Actually, I live in India. I have been here for 2 years. And the first implementation in the world is happening in India. So we are starting the revolution of sanitation from within India and expanding to the world. And the Ecolo technology is not new. It has been exported to 25 countries, including UN bodies, in 5 UN bodies around the world. But the one that is now, and it's made in India, by Indian for Indians, all right? So, and the one we are talking about here for high-rise building, for villas, for off-grid homes and housing, it is made in India, and it is the newest, the latest technology we have developed, patented technology, and we are now in the manufacturing stage to implement for all our projects. And that will save the water, and you fill the tank once and just forget it. You don't need more water. That's why I'm saying you get solar panel for maybe for heating, whatever. Then you get the water recycled, and you get more water from the system itself. And you got water for irrigation. You get fertilizer for your gardening purposes and so on. So this is the thing. And then you skip all this kind of contamination. You see, everything is a domino effect. Less people are sick means less hospitals, less expenses, healthier life, GDP will everything is like, you have to think, take the big picture. Thank you.
So a related question, we are saving water through technology, but we are not able to preserve our groundwater. So groundwater is recyclable and a renewable resource, but is finite. So what do you think that what all kind of measures are available or can be taken to preserve or to recycle the groundwater?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here so late. So coming back to the statistics that you showed, Sarika, so apart from when we start with the climate change, apart from the scarcity that it causes, there is also an issue of surplus that we are seeing around us. So essentially, climate change affects 2 critical parameters, rainfall and temperature, among many other things, both of which affect water. Right? And why are we talking about it? Because 90% of our drinking water in rural areas comes from groundwater. About 50% in urban area comes from groundwater. And like you said, it is fast depleting. 80% of agriculture water comes from groundwater. Problem with groundwater are two. One, it is underground. We can't see it. And as the panelists in the earlier session pointed out, what can't be seen can't be managed. And we see that in our work as well. The second facet of groundwater, it's a common pool, which many people do not relate to, that the same aquifer that supplies for drinking also supplies for agriculture. So which means that if agriculture takes out more water, we'll leave less water for drinking, even though that is only 10%. So essentially what it means is, when you come to what do we do about it, is how do you make the invisible visible? And for that we need data. And then use that data to manage that resource. So if through data of, let's say, quantifying the water in the aquifer and also the surface water, we do a simple exercise in the rural areas called water balance, which tells you based on the rainfall of a particular area and based on the crops we grow and the amount of water needed for households, what is the total demand for water and what is the total water availability. And if there is a deficit, then there are certain supply augmentation measures that can be taken, like in a watershed approach, you can create recharge measures, farm ponds to store the water for deferred use, right? So that is for scarcity. But there is also for climate, there is also surplus water. When too much, there is erratic rainfall and the intensity is too high. And this year, possibly for the Himalayan region, it has been the worst, as we've witnessed in Uttarakhand, Himachal, Jammu, Kashmir, and more recently in Sikkim. And it is not going to go away. So more water is equally as damaging as less water. And the third facet is that safe water, bad quality water. You may have water, but it's not fit for drinking. What do you do? And that we have seen, let's say, when we work in Muzaffarpur or Darbhanga, which is a flood-prone area. So we build toilets, the flood comes, the toilets get filled. And I don't know if your technology works there or not, but people can't access those loos. Yeah, and sewage flows and get mixed with drinking water, which causes a health risk. So essentially, if you want to put all these different variables in one framework, glamorously we call it a risk management framework that looks at hazards in an area, which are floods, which are droughts, cyclones, whatever nature provides in a particular geography, like Sundarbans, where we work, is very different from Shirur in Maharashtra, the surplus water, less water. And the other part is the vulnerability, which is about people. How people relate to water is also not the same. Tribal people have a very different usage pattern. So a combination of this provides a risk. And dealing with the risk, basically what we are trying to do is to build resilience. So instead of reacting to these calamities, how do we develop a much more proactive mechanism for planning using data, building capacities of people and institutions? And there's a policy that I don't need to beleaguer. I mean, I would agree. I was listening to what was being said. Last 10 years, I've been hearing the same thing about convergence. If nobody disagrees, it still doesn't happen. So possibly the next time onwards, we start the session with not that convergence is needed, but what comes in the way of convergence or what comes in the way of collaboration. Maybe we can elaborate that a bit more later.
So a related question to you. We talk about water conservation and all, and there are multiple organizations across the globe who are working on resilient infrastructure and building. Is it something on papers in the policy or actually functioning? Because we might wish to do something, but as I asked initially also, is our infrastructure, is our mindset or the policy, what they're saying, are they cohesive enough to function in that direction, or they are going in different directions?
Actually, it's a combination of mindset. Also, is very important to consider, because as I said earlier, doing the wrong thing over a long time becomes the right thing to do. So if they are like doing pit latrine and they have not done something different, they will continue doing. Or if they have open defecation, they love doing it in the nature. it's very difficult to convince them to go for a sustainable toilet and do their business, although we will tell them they will make money out of your waste, you know. Then there is also the governance and thing. UN is one example. They have like, it's not so easy to convince the UN that even third world, if you don't offer pit latrine to developed countries, why are you offering it to developing countries? It doesn't make any sense. Are they less value? Are they not on the same planet we are living on? Are they not going to contaminate the groundwater? You know, personally, pit latrine is the worst thing you can do, because you are not killing only yourself, you are killing your neighbor, because maybe the groundwater is contaminated with your waste, is getting to your neighbor. So that's why I'm saying it's a criminal action, right? So we need to work on awareness, governance, changing the legislation, having people to understand why they should go on doing what they should do instead of what they are doing today or used to do. And then I think also it should be some kind of finance behind this, some kind of mentors, organizations, NGOs, whatever, or banks who support even the SMEs or whatever, to start something that can promote this kind of activities and practices. And that all combined will push into sustainable future. You cannot blame the poor having no sustainable toilet. Right. You have to blame those who are decision makers and those who are sitting on the money, those who are sitting on the technologies. They have to put all this hand together to do something different.
Yeah, well said. I would like to extend my previous question regarding water conservation. I think these days female power or women are also coming up with water conservation strategies, especially in West Bengal, what we have seen. So how we can extend those initiatives further? What kind of initiatives we should take to make it gender inclusive?
Right, Sarika. So I think that's a very important point. So from our work, what we see, women in general are very sensitive to water. I mean, they share the burden of fetching drinking water. They are the ones who do the caregiving if there is a health problem related to water. So when we talk to them, let's say vis-a-vis the men, they are much more receptive to join the movement for conservation. And you mentioned West Bengal, also Kerala, Gujarat, they have a history of women's participation. Kerala had this Kudumbushri movement. Bengal, at least women are very politically active in the panchayats for good reason or bad. But they are out there. And in our work, we also work on sanitation. So they are playing a very important role in converting the sludge into compost and marketing them for fertilizer. So more and more women in the leadership role, if we can bring them in, we see that it works better. But like I said before, there are two things that we need to address. One, water being a common pool resource, it also feeds agriculture. And agriculture is still a main domain, because wherever money comes, it's the men who move in. And unless we bring the men as a part of the equation, the burden for women keeps on growing. Right? So while the women like the financial freedom, the mobility, and the dignity that they bring, their workload at home doesn't become any lesser. So unless we bring more men from the side of the problem to the side of the solutions, overall the equation doesn't remain balanced. That's what we are trying to do as well. Yeah.
So just one last common question to both of you, where I would like to invite attention from both. We see a lot of endeavors are being taken for this triangle, be it water, agriculture, or the waste management, and we have all the policies around it. But when it comes to the collective outcome, we see that these are seen in silos. What should we do as citizens or policymakers or supporters of circularity? What endeavors should we take to make it as a combined effort and add it to that so that the output from one becomes the input for the other for better economic benefit and collaboration?
Yeah, like Imad, you mentioned that technology already exists, and likewise for conservation, what needs to be done is known. Right, in the earlier session they mentioned that the governance of water, even when we mapped, it is presided over 14 departments and around 5 ministries, starting with forest to agriculture, and they don't often talk to each other. So what we are trying to do, and I have been at it for last at least 10 of the 30 years that I've been working, is there is very little that we can expect collaboration to happen physically, but at the panchayat level, if we use as a convergence point, because whether you are working on agriculture, drinking water, or on health education, it's the same people. So if the planning for a unit of change that happens at a village, where all the policies converge, all the finances converge, and we project it for at a national level policy, therefore how that can be enabled at the state level to support that, we've seen it works. Yeah. So the convergence points, the sweet spots as we call them, are GP, the Gram Panchayat, district, state and the national. So PM, CM, DM and the Panchayat Pradhan are the people that we work with who can make convergence happen. The other is that there is a acceptance now that we can't do this work alone. We have to come together, and we form collectives. In Maharashtra, we have an alliance for water security. West Bengal, we have a Sundarban alliance for water. In Assam, there is a collective where civil society organizations come together with government, like you were hinting at earlier, and we develop a common design which is acceptable based on science and what needs to be done. And it is through a consultative process where the public policy people and academicians and NGOs are there, that then the investors agree to fund. So the integrity of what needs to be done doesn't get compromised. What needs to be measured as a common outcome doesn't get compromised. And there is policy that backs that design, and that is some hope that through common data collaboration things can be done and the silos can be broken.
Same question from your lens.
Yeah, you see, we have to have a deep analysis regarding the problem we are facing. We have to go far away from flush toilets. Flush toilet is the worst invention of all time. But nobody realized that. It's very convenient. You cannot live without it, right? But you see, you have infrastructure all the infrastructure is very expensive to make for the flush toilets. So we have to go from centralized solutions into decentralized solutions. And because these centralized solutions involves a lot of infrastructure, energy demand, huge energy demand, STPs, if available, of course. It's not available most of the time. In India, it's very rare. And maybe 90% or more of the sludge is dumped in different ways. So that creates a bigger issues because this sludge is also mixed with the grey water. We call it black water, grey water from the shower and everything. That it becomes like a small poop or whatever, becomes a swimming pool of sludge. Imagine. And we are talking about the 1.4 billion today, I think, in India. So imagine, everyone is doing it, right, every day. So we have to go from this centralized solution into decentralized solution and get those people who are decision makers to be educated on different level, on how to capture these technologies and make it a tool to solve the core problem. We don't have a painkiller. You don't have a painkiller for the problem. You have to solve it at the root. And I think we are time out. Yeah?
Okay. So
Thank
just
you.
last 30 seconds to summarize. Can I have the slide please back? So just to summarize the discussion what we had, what collectively needs attention of everybody sitting in the room and otherwise, we have to work together for bringing everything in place, not in silos. We have to scale the climate innovation from pilot projects to mass projects for everybody. We have to maximize the usage of every single drop. And then people power transition is very much required. We have to enable the people, the workforce, especially the females. And last but not the least, policy should be aligned with the action plans. That's it. Thank you so much to both of you for enlightening us on a very important topic, a triangle on water, waste and agriculture. Thank you so much.